Happy New Year. And thank you for joining me for my 7th convocation as the Dean, the College of Communication and Fine Arts here at LMU. Every time I see that, I cry just a little. And I want to thank my friend and colleague, Judy Scalon, who gives me joy every time I hear her speak. And there's a part of me that just wants to step away from the mic and say, she said it, she did it. But I'll continue. Many of you know that Judy is retiring in August. And a part of me, I'm all teary today, a part of me is already mourning her loss. But I will continue to love her up and to enjoy her presence and the quality relationship that we have as colleagues. Roz LeBlanc-Lowe could not be with us today, not only because she's on sabbatical, but she's out doing the work to promote and complete this project. And for all of you who are interested in supporting that particular effort, there is a flyer out in the front that speaks to the varying ways in which you can contribute to the completion of this phenomenal documentary. I would like to structure our time today in 3 divisions of hopefully our collective labor: a review of some of our accomplishments this past year, a meditation on a theme, and then a personal application of that theme. Review of accomplishments. We've had a wide range of accomplishments throughout this academic year, and this is merely a kind of quick thumbnail sketch with apologies for all those things that I might be missing. This year we have welcomed 3 new faculty and congratulate 3 faculty who have recently received promotion. We welcome Andrea Aldenoff-Fuller as an assistant clinical professor in theater with a specialty in voice, diction, and dialects. We welcome Stacy Kabai, an assistant professor in theater with specialty in acting and pedagogy, and Karina Laughlin as an instructor in the Department of Communication Studies in the area of media and technology, along with congratulating our colleagues, Christopher Fenley and Leon Weavers, for advancement as associate professors, and Paige Edley as promotion to full professor. This past year, as many of you know, our former Director of Development, Tara Freites, left to explore other opportunities. But we welcome Patricia Hanudel as the new DOD for CFA, and she's in the back far corner there, waving to all of you. Patricia comes to us with over 10 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, creating opportunities for donors, support, and engagement in the arts, higher education, and human and social services. She received her undergraduate degree in studio arts from NYU, and she holds an MBA right here from LMU. Our 2018-19 calendar of events is filled with over 100 events, symposium activities from across all the disciplines within the college, including a range of interdisciplinary programs with many of our colleagues across the university. I want to sort of visually acknowledge a series of special honors of faculty throughout the college, lecturers, full-time faculty, and administrators. I'll note that in addition to receiving the 2008 LMU Raines Award for Scholarly and Creative Activity, Professor Lawrence Winter, who serves as Vandera Chair in Communication and Ethics, also was named as a research fellow of the North American Society for the Sociality of Sport. For the journal he edits entitled Communication in Sport, he received the Prose Award for the Best New Journal in Social Sciences. And he received the inaugural Legacy Award from the International Communication Association Sports Communication Division. Congratulations, Larry. Also recognizing Melody Radari and Dean Scheibel, who both presented their cutting-edge research in the Hannon Library annual Pub Night series. Our 2017-18 booklet of faculty publications and creative work is now out. It's hot off the presses, and it's bigger than ever, with nearly 60 individual faculty entries, each with multiple accomplishments across all faculty ranks, including our astonishing lecturers. It also includes key student accomplishments along with their participation in the undergraduate research symposium and the successes of our LMU debate team. We particularly want to acknowledge a new book-length projects written by individual authors like Professor Nina Lozano, her work that documents femicide on the border, the editor of book series like Professor Winter, once again, and the first book in a new series that focuses on media and gay athletes, and also the landmark exhibition, which was absolutely phenomenal, entitled Fragile Thoughts, documenting the 25-year retrospective art of our own Professor Jane Brucker. In the college, we are making steady and respectful progress towards several CFA goals that include the imaginings that would transform the face of the university, future performing arts pavilion, the revitalization of the Stroop Theater over in Foley, and a performance stage in Lawton Plaza. And so I will be providing you with more updates on that as we move closer and closer to our goals. We are moving quickly this year on a new one-button studio, which will be located on the 3rd floor of Foley, that will allow students to do independent recordings, short performance pieces, rehearsals, public speeches, monologues. Once the space is up and moving and operational, we will further develop a system of scheduling and explore the range of possible uses of all disciplines throughout the College of Communication and Fine Arts. We are extremely excited to have realized a new academic advisement center for student success located in St. Robert's 102, which will complement our existing academic affairs office and will expand the types of services that we can provide our students. We are in the process of hiring 1 or 2 new academic advisors who will work directly in alignment with academic advisors in our individual academic departments. Working with our partners in career and professional development, especially our friend and colleague and alum, Alina Muslar, we have expanded the range of opportunities for students in career connections, both on campus and off campus, bringing our current students in contact with highly selective alums from the college who have distinguished themselves across all of our disciplines of training, as well as deeply immersed themselves in experiences in diverse professional environments. Our students travel along with CPD to career treks to downtown Los Angeles organizations, as well as far as diverse sites such as New York and Chicago. As a result of those efforts and the deep training that our students receive across CFA and the university, our students are landing jobs at diverse locations throughout their disciplines with an impressive rate of job placement and service in private, for-profit, and nonprofit organizations. And with that note, we have just received notification of a student who's received a very high honor in terms of an internship. He's a communication studies student. I'm going to mention his name in a minute. But allow me to make comment here about the Laban Art Gallery. Under the direction of Karen Rapp, the Laban Art Gallery continues to present landmark exhibitions that have received important and critical attention for the gallery, for the artist, and LMU as a university on the cutting edge of innovation and boldly examining the sociocultural issues that face our world. In the fall, it was Judy Dater, Only Human, a retrospective collection spanning 5 decades of the artist's work. The exhibition was the first in over 20 years to explore the career of Bay Area photographer Judy Dater. This provided a survey of Dater's work, celebrating her achievement as a pioneering figure in 1970s feminist art and her subsequent creative evolution. The current show, Confess is a multi-part installation by Los Angeles-based artist Trina McKellen that reveals how the artist grapples with the worldwide crisis of sexual abuse committed by Catholic priests and its aftermath. The Thomas P. Kelly Jr. Gallery, located right next to the Laban, continues to also offer and present innovative student work as a professionalizing act for these young artists. Theater. The theater department will be launching a new MFA program in performance pedagogy in the fall of 2019. This is a result of many, many, many years of planning and preparation. Also, the Department of Communication Studies, in association with our Interdisciplinary and Applied Program, IDAP, has already launched a new and highly, highly popular minor in public relations, with special kudos here to Michelle Hammers, the chair of Communication Studies, and Dean Scheibel, who serves as the director of our IDAP program. CFA faculty and students participated in the much larger university branding initiative, to which the entire college is committed, and we will embark in applying that in meaningful ways throughout the upcoming academic year. In addition to all the work that we do that I will shortly outline, CFA sponsored and supported a series of invited performances this past year, including Equally Divine, which was a meditation on the Mona Lisa in as gender performance. We also invited the Costa Rica Guitar Quartet, this in collaboration with Professor Martha Masters and the music department. And this semester, the upcoming performance of Tres Vidas, an evening-length work for a singing actress and chamber music trio based on the lives of three legendary Latin American women, Mexican painter Frida Kahlo, Salvadorian peasant and activist Rufina Amaya, and Argentinian poet Alfonsina Storni. That is slated for March 1st at 8 o'clock in this space. In art and art history. Art and Art History continues its very, very successful Kaleido LA series with helpful administrative support from Nicole Murph within that department. The series also features an annual panel of alums that come back to share their experiences with our current students. The department continues to feature a record showing of student art throughout the regular season, culminating in the annual student juried art show. Art Smart, an arts education initiative directed by Professor Terry Lanahan, assisted by both undergraduate and graduate students from our MFT program, continues to engage youth populations in and through art. Our Department of Communication Studies. The department hosted a series of events this past year, including a Tai Chi workshop linked with mindfulness and spirituality, a one-man show by senior lecturer Christo Gobin, and in addition, we were just notified that Delbert Smith III, a 2018 graduate from the Department of Communication Studies, has been chosen as a fellow in the Capital Fellows Program, which is administrated through the Center for California Studies at California State University in Sacramento, and serves as an outstanding opportunity for college graduates to engage in public service and prepare for future careers. These fellows work 10 to 11 months as full-time staff members in the California State Assembly, California State Senate, California Executive Branch, or the California Judiciary. Delbert was chosen as only 2 students from LMU. The other is a student in the School of Education. Dance. As a part of the Department of Communication Studies, the LMU debate program also hosted the social justice debates, which I'm going to comment on shortly in another context. Our dance department. Dance continues to present outstanding dance concerts featuring choreography of faculty, invited artists, and students. In addition, in collaboration with the music department and the student orchestra, the dance presented a concert in Dunning Courtyard right outside the door entitled Mostly Dances with Strings, a beautiful event. Also linked with our collaboration with Bill T. Jones, the department hosted an evening with Bill T. Jones, both as a part of the educational partnership that the program has with the Bill T. Jones Arnie Zane Dance Company, and as an extension of the beautiful work that you saw being done by Professor LeBlanc Lowe, as she continues to work towards the completion of the documentary. This year, the college presented the fourth installment of our Emerging Artists series with the Tanya Weidman Davis and Thaddeus Davis Dance Company out of South Carolina with a piece entitled Spatializing Blackness. This in the company and collaboration with our own LMU students, and featured work by two of our students, a current student and a recent graduate, Kira Bro and Justice Domingo. Marital and family therapy. This department continues to amaze me in the terms of the range and depth of the work that they do, the diverse programming and accomplishments, like the Summer Arts Workshop for youth populations. They continue to impress with faculty and student awards and leadership opportunities that show the breadth and depth of MFT as one of the premier graduate programs on this campus. In addition, MFT initiated a new research institute with a resident scholar, the first of whom is Dr. Susan Hudson from USC, who is helping the department to further its interdisciplinary projects, interdisciplinary arts-based exploration of art as a meaning-making process. In music, music continues to offer high-quality performance opportunities for students, including the introduction of a new jazz ensemble and a host of faculty and student recitals, and of course, the tradition of the LMU choral program. This summer, culminating a phenomenal career of excellence in choral music at LMU, Mary Braden will be facilitating her last European choral tour as she plans on retirement in August. It is appropriate to add this notification here as both an important recognition of all of her past accomplishments and career excellence, and to signal you once again that if you would like to support this trip, right, that there is a form in the back at the entrance that will allow you an opportunity to help defray the costs of the wide range of LMU students and community members who will be participating in that tour. I've now mentioned that we have two of our most esteemed colleagues who are planning retirement soon in August. And in CFA, we often celebrate retirements at the end of the year, at the end of our year social. And of course, the music department also offers a range of other performances, including music for children, the World Music Ensemble, as well as the fine work that is done in the Sinatra Opera Workshop. Also this year, under the leadership of Professor Martha Masters, the department hosted a celebration of Cuban art and culture that featured lectures, workshop, live music, and dancing in Lawton Plaza. Our theater department. Theater presented a remarkable season that engaged a range of social and political issues, along with a diversity of students from freshmen all the way to seniors. The season included the play Laugh, written by our own Beth Henley, through the play That Face, written by Polly Stenham. Shakespeare on the Bluff is a new introduction to the campus. This past summer, the theater launched its new Shakespeare on the Bluff series with outdoor performances of Midsummer's Night's Dream and later Othello. I'm gonna pause for a moment because I saw Arnab make a funny little gesture. There was a picture of Arnab on the screen, right? And I'm not sure if it was the picture of him in a lion's mane, but there, I'm just pointing you out, Arnab, man. In 3 performances, 2 in Lawton Plaza and 1 in varying Playa Vista locations, each evening attracted nearly 400 community members with over 1,200 people seeing all of the performances. The series was highly, highly selective, and it will continue this summer with productions of As You Like It and Pericles. The theme that I have chosen for this year's convocation is CFA as templates of sociality, and it comes from a number of different places for me. First, I draw the primary orientation from the phrase templates of sociality from communication, performance, dance, and critical studies scholar Judith Hamera, a construct that I first discovered when she edited an issue of Text and Performance Quarterly that included some of my own work on the notion of performing culture in the classroom. Hamera writes, templates of sociality or arrangements that organize bodies, and through them, the practices of everyday life. Templates of sociality expose, manage, and finesse tensions that must continually be resolved by embodied subjects, successfully or otherwise. And when applied to a range of racial, gendered, and cultural phenomena, templates of sociality anchored to place, instead organize enabling performances of identity, community, and remembrance, both produced and constrained by situated desire. These logics ring true for me in the diverse disciplines within the College of Communication and Fine Arts that engage in the critical explorations of differing templates of human engagement through found and creative artifacts, e.g. texts, scripts, and art, and logics of rhetoric, of analysis, of argumentation, and debate that offer readers, listeners, viewers, audiences, dialogical partners, and clients in a clinical context ways of seeing and reimagining strategies for living. Second, I'm also reminded of the empowering ways in which Pope John Paul II both celebrates and calls into service the work of artists in his 1999 Call to Artists, in which he speaks to many themes, including the following. 1, the special vocation of the artist. He writes, "It is one thing for human beings to be the authors of their own acts, with responsibility for their moral value. It is another to be an artist, able, that is, to respond to the depths of art and faithfully to accept art's specific dictates. This is what makes the artist capable of producing objects, but it says nothing as yet to his moral character. We are speaking not of molding oneself, of forming one's own personality, but simply of actualizing one's productive capacities, giving aesthetic form to ideas conceived in the mind." 2, he addresses the artist and the common good. He writes, "Society needs artists, just as it needs scientists and technicians and workers and professional people, witnesses of the faith, teachers, fathers, and mothers who ensure the growth of the person and the development of the community by means of that supreme art form which is the art of education." 3, art as the mystery of the Word made flesh. He writes, "In the history of human culture, all of this is a rich chapter of faith and beauty. Believers above all gained from it in their experience of prayer and Christian life. Indeed, for many people, in times when few could read or write, representations of the Bible were concrete modes of catechis." 4, a fruitful alliance between the gospel and art. He writes, "All artists experience the unbridgeable gap which lies between the work of their hands, however successful it may be, and the dazzling perfection of the beauty glimpsed in the ardor of the creative moment. What they manage to express in their painting, in their sculpting, their creating is no more than a glimmer of the splendor which flared for a moment before the eyes of their spirit. 5, he states, the church needs art. He writes, in order to communicate the message entrusted to her by Christ, the church needs art. Art must make perceptible and, as far as possible, attractive the world of the spirit, of the invisible, of God. It must therefore translate into meaningful terms that which is in itself ineffable. 6, he asks, does art need the church? The church therefore needs art, but can it also be said that art needs the church? The question may seem like a provocation. Yes, he writes, rightly understood, it is both legitimate and profound. Artists are constantly in search of the hidden meaning of things, and their torment is to succeed in expressing the world of the ineffable. How then, that's my emphasis, we fail to see what a great source of inspiration is offered by the kind of homeland of the soul that is religion. Is it not perhaps within the realm of religion that the most vital personal questions are posed and answers, both concrete and definitive, are sought? 7, he offers an appeal to the artists, to all of you, to all of us. He writes, I appeal to you, artists of the written and spoken word, of theater and music, of the plastic arts and the most recent technologies in the field of communication. I appeal especially to you, Christian artists. I wish to remind each of you that beyond functional considerations, the close alliance that has always existed between the gospel and art means that you are invited to use your creative intuition to enter into the heart of the mystery of the incarnate God and at the same time into the mystery of man. 8, he addresses the creator spirit and artistic inspiration. He writes, dear artists, you well know that there are many impulses which, either from within or from without, can inspire your talent. Every genuine inspiration, however, contains some tremor of the breath with which the Creator's Spirit suffused the work of creation from the very beginning. Overseeing the mysterious laws governing the universe, the divine breath of the Creator Spirit reaches out to the human genius and stirs its creative power. It is right then to speak, even if only analogically, of moments of grace, because the human being is able to experience in some way the absolute who is utterly beyond. And then finally he writes, he speaks of the beauty that saves. He writes, artists of the world, may your many different paths all lead to that infinite ocean of beauty where wonder becomes awe, exhilaration, unspeakable joy. So in reflection now for me, and in reverence of these guiding principles, I want to apply just a few examples from CFA to this list included within this phenomenal document. Measure for measure. When our theater program took on the Shakespeare play Measure for Measure, it took on the play not just as a masterpiece of playwriting and the words of the bard as quintessential acting challenge. I think that the program took on the particular play with a direct address to explore the critical themes associated with religion, morality, virtue, sin, punishment, death, atonement, to which the play directly addresses, along with the sometimes seamless and problematic representation of women in the play and in society, both then and now, in that each woman in the play is constructed literally and figuratively as saint and whore. And in the play, women are controlled by the forces of men in their lives and patriarchy in general. So our students engaged in this production of Measure for Measure both illuminated the social issues in the play as they discussed them in the process of producing the play, and then juxtaposed those issues against the current valence of the Me Too movement that both recognizes and resists similar conditions today. This is putting theater and art to work. I also comment here on the social justice debates. In a later publication, Judith Hamera also constructs her notion of templates of sociality as a discursive matrix, a vocabulary and a grammar to hold sociality together across difference and perpetuate it over time. So when I recently sat through the final round of our campus-based social justice debates, the intentionality of those debates rang true with me, with a critical discussion on human sociality. Keying in on the work of Henry Louis Gates Jr. as the social justice debates selected Scholar of the Year, his scholarship on hate speech, including his book chapter, War of Words, Critical Race Theory and the First Amendment, formulated the very nature of the debate topic. Resolved. University speech regulations intended to protect racial minorities do more to harm than good for the racial minorities the regulations are intended to protect. That was the debate resolution. And in our campus-based debates, I witnessed our students, a racially and ethnically diverse group, engaged and prepared to debate either side of the resolution with clarity and with passion, and in the process of the debate itself, illuminated the multiple perspectives and logics that undergird the polarized social positioning to which the resolution invokes. Their ability to critically engage reinforces a broader expectation to which I believe our university mission emboldens in them to know and to understand all the available information and means of persuasion, and as a means of and before enacting a nobly informed citizenship towards justice. That's what they were talking about, y'all. That's what I experienced when I saw them. And in dance, the sizzle reel, the sort of trailer that I showed you at the beginning of our time together of the D-Man project, that documentary film seeks to expand the critical and political intentionality of dance, choreography, and technique as templates of sociality within and outside of that aesthetic moment, to use a particular story of a dance to illustrate the triumph of the human spirit in art and in community. In particular, dance to critically chronicle and explicate the zeitgeist of the pandemic of HIV/AIDS, through the collaborative genius of Bill T. Jones, Arnie Zane Dance Company, and now the work that Roz is doing to extend that tradition, they captured a human story that is both particular and plural to the physical and social impacts of the disease, to which I lost my own brother in 1995. In this way, the dance, like the intention of documentary, serves as an archive of complex realities, allowing the emotional truth of past experience to be immanent in the contemporary moment. In studio arts, when Pope John Paul II writes about why the church needs art, he states, "Art has a unique capacity to take one or other facets of the message and translate it into colors, shapes, and sounds which nourish the intuition of those who look or listen. It does so without emptying the message itself of its transcendent value and its aura of mystery." I'm reminded of these two pieces of exquisite art produced by our students, one entitled Liberation by the artist Ralph Pattersill, and the other entitled The Tree of Life by artist Carly Zinker. Each student artist using artistic expression to aesthetically articulate the ineffable qualities of faith, of justice, of life, and the struggle to establish empowering templates of sociality that construct our own human struggle, to connect us to the roots of our origins and to our faith, to connect us to that which we say anchors our politics and our faith, to connect us to what we say we believe in, but that we don't always practice with the same level of conviction. And when Pope John Paul II writes about the beauty that saves, the art that saves, I cannot help but to think about the kind of work that is done in the Department of Marital and Family Art Therapy, where students are trained by practicing art therapists, scholars, to integrate their visual and artistic backgrounds with psychotherapeutic skills as they work with a variety of clients, including children, adolescents, adults, and families, those suffering and recovering from the traumas of everyday living and dying, as well as human instigated and natural disaster. The disciplines in CFA, now ostensibly blessed by the Pope, offer the world new ways of seeing, knowing, speaking, of looking back, and maybe ways for us to practice our faith, however we construct faith, belief, and spirituality through art or rhetoric, and rhetoric as art. In addition to the disciplines in CFA, many of us use diverse methodologies to engage the critical work of research, creative, and scholarly production. Many use variations of personal narrative, life story research, or autoethnography as pivot points, qualitative research methodologies in which the author uses self-reflection and writing or art making to explore personal experience, grief, and trauma. Or like the pensieve of Harry Potter fame, so I'm showing that I'm a geek here, right? The methodology is a technology of reviewing stored memories to see again what one has already seen or felt, to revisit critically and with an exactitude of artistic practice, to then, with the courage and bravery of their conviction, to share that process and the product of that process in public settings for others to see, to know, to understand, not to code on the nature of the experience itself, but to see the kind of critical technique or the technology or the methodology that the artist uses in order to unpack lived experience in a meaningful way. In some ways, I believe that the origins of the current exhibition in the Levan Art Gallery, Confess, is one such exercise for the artist Trina McKillen. In the letter of His Holiness Pope John Paul II to artists, he writes, "In producing a work, artists express themselves to the point where their work becomes unique, a unique disclosure of their own being, of what they are and how they are and where they are and how they came to be. For him," and I'm going to add her in this quote, "art offers both a dimension and an exceptional mode for expression of his, her spiritual growth. Through his, her work, the artist speaks to others and communicates with them." Allow me to take the liberty now of sharing with you a different kind of exemplar of what I think templates of sociality tend to do. On January 27th, 2018, I was invited to speak to a group of LMU students who gathered for what could have been the first LMU LGBTQ+ retreat through LMU Campus Ministries. I was given a number of prompts to engage them, not only as a CFA dean, but literally as a Black, gay, Catholic man who's also the CFA dean, all of which are inextricably interconnected. I offered them a variation of this message. I said, "On my desk, at work, and at my home office, amongst the areas of things that inform and inspire me, there's a picture of my parents. It's one of my favorite pictures of them. They are in a dancing embrace, only paused by the photographic moment. In the photo, my father has his signature sunshades on to protect his always sensitive eyes, and my mother, with a full smile, looks directly into the lens of the camera. And I imagine that she's always looking at me, reminding me of the man that she wanted me to be. I always look at the picture of my parents, and particularly that image of my mother looking back at me when I'm on the phone or I'm about to write that email, that email that might shatter someone's reality. And I look at my mother looking at me, smiling, and I pause. And while I still deliver the message that I need to communicate, from time to time I might soften the tone and the edge of the message in delivery, or invite someone for a meeting. This in the process of performing my academic and administrative role and humanity. My mother taught me about care, about conviction, and about character as templates of sociality. And through the photo and my memory of her, she reminds me every day about the man she wanted me to be, and in most cases, I imagine, I hope, that she's proud. So in reference to that daily ritual of both remembering and memorializing my parents, who are both now long past, I offered the students additional glimpses to things that my mother taught me throughout my childhood about the intersections of my queer and Catholic identities. My mother taught me many things, and these are just a few. My mother used to tell me that I was made in the image of God. My mother used to tell me that she saw a light and a joy in me that could give comfort and care to others, and that it was my responsibility to do so. My mother used to tell me to consistently be present in my whole self, in my whole person, but to always thank God for the many gifts and particularities that He has bestowed upon me. My mother used to tell me to honor my spirit and to respect my mind and my body. My mother used to tell me that God does not make mistakes. So as far back as I could remember, my mother told me these things as lessons to live by. She would tell me these things, sometimes triggered by things that I said or did or things that happened to me, sometimes triggered by my hurt feelings from childhood name-calling, fag, sissy, punk, queer, names that were hurled at me with the intent to hurt and to shame a still developing self-identity. Sometimes triggered by thuggish, pro-masculine, heterosexual male bullying when my interest turned to the gentle arts instead of sports. And sometimes she would tell me these things after church when someone in robed authority would utter rigid rhetorics that attempted to delimit the importance of my being in the world. And once, and that not often discussed time when as an altar boy, when an inappropriate touch and a solicitation by the same hypocritical robe authority challenged my belief in God, my mother quickly dealt with that infraction and quickly reinforced to me that adults taking sexual advantage of children is abuse, not love, and that the robed authority was acting on the desire of man, not God. For you see, my mother knew of my gay identity before the happening. And in some ways, as mothers do, right? And in some ways, my mother knew of my gay identity long before I could even articulate it for myself. There's a psalm in there somewhere, Psalm 139. I'm the fourth boy of 5 boys, and I had another brother who was also gay. And it would take years before my older brother Nathaniel and I would talk about what it is that we shared. And the occasion of such discussions came only after he used one of those private mantras from my mother to comfort me, and I repeated others to him, and we just laughed. We laughed thinking that we were alone in our struggle, but always in the comfort of our mother. And through that laughter, we recognized what our mother had been doing all of our lives, comforting and caring and encouraging 2 of her boys who just happened to be gay, to be fully present in their faith and in their particularity, and encouraging us to find a mindful, respectful balance between each. My brother and I came to understand that my mother was offering lessons for being in God's presence and blessings as we were reared in a very, very Catholic household. She offered a series of lessons that supported our particularity without demonizing our character, spirit, and our potentiality. She encouraged us to live fully, to be whole persons present, but we understood that her encouragement was not a blessing. It was a Catholic mother's love, which was both and not at the same time. You see, my mother was what many in my childhood would call a good Catholic girl, and still what others would call a God-fearing woman. But she would always resist the Old Testament notion of the wrath of God, that we should fear God because, as she would say, if your heart is good, then God knows that. There's no need to fear him. She revered the glory and majesty of God, of his care and his compassion, and celebrated all of his creatures. And she taught us to practice the faith in relation to fulfilling our personal sense of being and humanity. She would tell us, always stay close to God. She had all of her 7 children go through catechism classes from kindergarten to high school. Oh, I was an altar boy and sang in the church choir. I taught catechism for years as a display of my care and the passion of my faith. I've been a lecturer and cantor in church, and I've been a Eucharistic minister for most of my adult life. These are ways that I follow my mother's lessons of keeping faith of God for both her and for myself. My mother would tell me that the nature of my faith is not vitiated or invalidated by my sexuality, though I should practice humility and respect in both. And despite some interpretive aspect of Catholicity that might demonize my queer identity, my mother told me that a performed and enacted faith is not restricted by desire, but measured by the character and practice of that faith in the most empowering and altruistic features. There's an old joke, which is based in what I call sort of directional or misdirectional humor, and you might know this joke. It goes something like this. It's situated in New York City, and there's a tourist, maybe a young musician, who asks a passerby, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? And the answer is practice, practice, practice. And such is the answer to the question that I was asked to present to those students at that time that I represent to you. The question was, how do you maintain your faith as a member of the LGBTQ plus community? And the answer is practice, practice, practice. For me, faith is not belief without proof. I believe that a credible faith is a rational faith that looks at the nature of being as evidence of knowing, and the commitment to faith is a rhetoric of engagement, meaning that which we speak and build arguments of defense and promotion on behalf, but also that which we must embody and make manifest in our actions. But there is another question that was asked of me. Question: how do I maintain friends and relationships in my personal and professional life as a member of the LGBTQ plus community? Answer: being whole self, which includes my faith and queer identity, amongst other things. It means making fully present all aspects of my identity, all aspects of my complex intersectional identity. My intersectional identity, y'all, as a man, as a black gay man, as a black gay Catholic man, as a black gay Catholic man citizen, as a black gay Catholic man citizen, teacher, artist, scholar, and administrator. As a black gay man, Catholic citizen, teacher, artist, scholar, and administrator, brother, as my mother's son and my father's boy, and always as a child of God, it means making my intersectional self fully present and consistently alive to engage and help others and the world to recognize, support, and to celebrate our joint humanity and promote justice. So, in my personal and professional life, I have never had to overcome any perceived challenges of being accepted for any individual part of my intersectional identity, though oppression is always and already collective. Yet the fullness of my person lives and thrives where those places and elements of my intersectional identity come together, not just meet, but overlap and co-inform each other, drawing strength from the diverging and converging histories of resistance, where such histories meet to synergize, energize, and fortify my being. So the struggle is not particular to one trait, but plural to my complete being. And the survival of and within that struggle has established this relatively fabulous person who stands before you today. I'm going to move to the next slide, Kate. On my desk, in my home and work office, there is that picture of my parents. It is a favorite picture of them. They are dancing in a brace, paused only for the photographic moment. In the photo, my father has his signature sunshades on to protect his always sensitive eyes. And my mother, with a full smile, looks directly into the lens of the camera. I imagine that she is always looking at me and approving of the man that I've become. I have faith that all the things that my mother told me are true. These are the same things that I wish for you, that I said to those students, that I say to you now. I offered a variation of this message to that group of LMU LGBTQ+ identified students who attended that retreat. I offered it to them as a kind of aesthetically crafted reflection on aspects of my own lived experience in relation to the charge of the moment. I offered it to them as a coy response to the artificial set of questions that attempted to tease the particularity of gender identity out of the intersectional matrix of identity politics that included faith and religion. I offered it to them as I offer it to you now, as yet another template of sociality, not for them to code on to my experience, but to extract any part of that experience that might be meaningful in their own, in your own experiences, in your processes of being and becoming. I offer it as most artists and critical scholars, and particularly those I believe in the College of Communication and Fine Arts, when we offer people a way to see and know the world anew, providing them with opportunities to critically assess the realities before them in relation to the desire and designs of a world that we want to live in. We offer them consistently as templates of sociality. Thank you very much.